Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have Todd Straka. He's with UL. He's currently serving as their global industry director for their electrical products retail business. In his current role, Todd is responsible for developing and expanding and refining UL's global lighting and retailer business portfolio to support the ever-changing needs of the industry. That's right, ever-changing. It sure changes a lot. Todd has been involved in the testing and certification business, supporting the lighting industry for over 24 years, the last 11 of which he's been with UL. He has worked closely with many industry stakeholders, including manufacturers, retailers, distributors, specifiers, government agencies, and the list goes on and on and on and on. We're going to throw in there the United States Department of Energy, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Ooh, some big names here. Department of Transportation, NEMA, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, the American Lighting Association, and now he's working with NAILD. Isn't that great? Yeah.
That's right.
He has been heavily involved with various well-known energy efficiency and performance testing programs, such as Energy Star. Never heard of that one. The Design Lights Consortium, as well as the UL's latest offerings focused on marketing claims verification. Very important. But before we get to Todd and we start grilling him hot on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, we got to talk about the crazy folks, Greg. TCPI.com. That's right. Technical consumer products, the craziest folks in lighting, Greg, Ehrich.
Right. And I don't know if I call what they do crazy all the time. I call it good and beneficial to me, at least as a salesperson. I'm out there selling lighting every day. They have just about every product that you can ask for in terms of LED fixtures or LED bulbs. And the best part is they have all the colors covered too, the Kelvin temperatures. That's something that you sell a job and then all of a sudden the customer throws a wrench at you and says, I want 35K. A screw in 35K? There's like two companies that have it. TCP has it. So check them out.
Check out TCPI.com and, of course, proud members, longtime members of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Get educated, get associated. But for right now, what's happening, Todd Straka?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Greg, why don't you kick this one off for the peeps and see where it goes?
Well, let's start off hot with UL. What is the purpose of UL in terms of the lighting industry?
Yeah, so UL obviously has I think a long-standing history, right, over 125 years, and we really started in the lighting industry, right, as an independent third-party certification organization, and the UL mark has become very synonymous with product safety throughout North America, especially, and UL obviously has diversified its portfolio of services to get into many different types of certifications and verifications, and really just partnering deeply with manufacturers to bring safe, high-performing products to market, and that's really what we've concentrated our efforts on.
Did it actually start in like the first thing UL did was lighting?
Lighting was actually one of the very first industries that we got involved with due to a fire at the World Expo that came as a result of a fire that resulted from lighting and electricity. And so, yeah, lighting was one of the real, I'll say, initial industries that UL was heavily involved in. So a very long history in lighting.
Yeah, that is getting out there for sure. So in terms of what you guys are doing for the first 100 years or so, was it all safety, and now, or 120 years, or
Yes,
where are we at with that time frame?
yeah, so I think primarily, right, over time, certainly, product safety has always been a chief concern, right, of consumers and users of electrical products, especially in lighting industry and other electrical areas. And product safety can never be overlooked. Even in today's world, where with the transition in lighting to LEDs, and you've gone to products that are consuming less energy, and maybe oftentimes people think, hey, when I go to the store and purchase a product, you don't go there thinking about product safety. A lot of consumers have that mindset of, hey, if the product's on the shelf, it must be safe, but they maybe don't fully appreciate or realize all of the work that's gone on behind the scenes to really ensure that that is the case, right? That the products that are on store shelves are safe. And so UL has really, as a standards development organization, we actually are heavily involved in developing safety standards and really building our foundation off of safety science and really ensuring that not only do we have safe products as a result of the safe standards that industry has come together to develop, but we now are expanding that, right? Over the last, I would say, 20 plus years, there now has been more of a focus on product performance, right? How do products perform? And products, I'll say programs such as those like Energy Star, where we were validating and verifying not only the energy efficiency, but the product performance attributes of lighting and other appliances and other electrical products. But that's an area where product quality and product performance, UL has really expanded itself over the last 15 to 20 years to really make sure that we have a deep offering and knowledge of how to help manufacturers, I'll say, increase the trust that they can build with their consumers and their specifiers, and ensure that they're putting out a high quality product.
Now, from the safety standpoint and the UL safety listing, maybe I should know this, but do all lighting products have to have that to be sold, or is that just
So in the United States, while it's not a mandatory requirement, it is something that really has become in order to safely sell products and to be able to really access markets. Many of the major big box retailers and specifiers, they do mandate that products have been properly certified to the appropriate safety standards. So you will see that the growth of certified products through independent third-party organizations such as UL, and there are a host of others out there. It's really grown exponentially over time, and we continue to see a strong demand for products that bear a mark such as UL to make sure that is really signifying that the product is safe and can be used by consumers in a safe manner.
Are there too many accreditation agencies?
I wouldn't say too many. There are certainly quite a few accreditation agencies, and UL, we certainly are involved in many, and we hold many different accreditations from different accreditation bodies around the world. And so, it is, I would say, a challenge to make sure that we are ongoing and maintaining all of our accreditations. And as we expand our global footprint, ensuring that we, maintain all of those accreditations and we can properly gain access to all of the global markets that our customers want to go. That's really important, is to ensure that we have all of those necessary accreditations.
Yeah, you do, but I mean, I'm talking about the consumers. I mean, it's becoming a very complex web. Even for someone who's in the industry, like a lighting distributor, you got ETL, CSA, CUL. I'm Canadian, so in the past it was CSA, and that was basically the only thing that would be on a product. And then CUL came out. It's the American one with a little C in front of it, right? Which means that it meets Canadian standards. And now you have so many different kinds of bodies that can put a stamp on something. Even the Electrical Safety Authority, which is a local electrical inspection agency, has launched a product accreditation department on their own here in Ontario. And I think the more players that enter this game, the less assurance there is or something. It's almost like a workaround, So I'm wondering to myself, when I look at I consider UL to be a accreditation agency. Is that not what you guys are?
Well, not really an accreditation agency. I would say a certification agency.
Okay.
Right.
Then is there too many certification agencies? That's what I want to ask you.
So obviously there are a number of global certification agencies, and what I would say is, due to the sheer volume of products across all industries and categories, literally billions of products, right, being certified, that certainly lends itself to competition in the certification space, and we've seen the testing, inspection, and certification industry has grown very robustly in my time over the last 24 years. we've seen great growth in that particular industry. And it can get a little bit daunting to your point, Mike, about the from a consumer perspective, seeing all of the various labels on products and exactly what does that mean, and yet here we are today talking about actually another label, right? A marketing claims verification label, which we'll get into, that is yet another potential mark that you could start to see on product packaging. So it can get a little bit daunting. We try to do our best to educate not only the manufacturers and our customers, but those who are using and specifying and purchasing those products, so that they fully appreciate and understand what's behind the actual certification.
Another thing is verification of a certification. I know that with we were speaking with Rico Light Nigel Harvey, Greg, and he had mentioned that you could buy products in the UK. So I don't know if this is true for Canada, I haven't checked, but you could buy products in the UK, and a huge percent of them had false certifications on the products. So they were selling products into the UK over marketplaces. I'm not going to say the name of the one that's the most dominant. I'm sure we all know who we're talking about. But these products were coming into the UK with false verifications on them. How big of a problem is that, and does the volume of certifications increase the likelihood of that, in your opinion?
Yeah, so UL actually takes that into some very strong consideration. So we have a brand protection team that UL has stood up, and we really take an active role in trying to protect products and ensuring that not only products, right, but we want to work to protect brands, products, places, and people. And certainly there are, I'll say, bad actors out there, right, that we have seen in our own case where there are, counterfeit goods, counterfeit products, counterfeit labels for certifications. And we actually partner very closely with federal law enforcement agencies, Interpol. We have a very active brand protection team that takes really aggressive efforts towards removing counterfeit goods through the stream of commerce, and really making sure that we are protecting the brand integrity of not only the UL label and the UL mark and brand, but also our customers' brands, because obviously that can be have a high negative impact on their business. So that's something that we take very seriously, and we've actually, in the lighting space specifically, over the years, we've instituted the use of things like holographic labels on lighting products, where you may see a holographic label, and the ability to really deter the ability of those to counterfeit certifications. And so, we do take some very active steps globally to try to prevent those things from happening, and really, that's one of the things that UL is heavily involved in.
It's interesting that you bring up the holographic and this sort of thing. Just to make a weird side point, I think it's 30 or 40% of Canadian teenagers don't know the difference between a credit card and a debit card. And I've often wondered to myself why they don't teach that in high school. And one of the things that would be interesting as well is like to teach people about what these different, because you kind of have to learn it on your own. What I mean? You're expected to know that when you buy a product, it should have a safety certification on it, and these are the people that can do that. Then this is the symbols you want to look for. Nobody really knows that. I mean, nobody. There's no point at which your life, when someone sits you down, here's how you file your taxes. This is how you can tell if a product is safe or not, or if it's been tested.
Sure.
It's almost like essential knowledge that you're expected to learn on your own. But I think that's a good segue into the verification, the marketing side, because
Sure.
Greg, you want to jump in here before we move there?
I just had one other thing, just on the safety side of things.
Sure.
So what I get that the peace of mind knowing that it has the safety claims and everything, but what if an issue arises that it said it was safe for? Is UL backing anything more? I'm trying to look at all the benefits that a manufacturer gets by doing a UL listing.
Yeah, so we certainly get heavily involved if there is an instance of whether it be a counterfeit activity of a label or an issue in the field with a product. We will absolutely work closely with the manufacturer, and so they do gain an extra level of support when they do partner with UL, and so that's definitely something that we're actively engaged in. Throughout I'll say the product life cycle with our customers.
So the marketing, so the lighting industry, and we've talked about this over and over on the show, is the sizzle versus the steak. This daylight, it's cool light, it's warm white, it's the full spectrum, cool green. I have an ad framed on my wall here. Cool green, good for your eyes. Full spectrum, that's another word that's chucked around a lot. Natural daylight, these kind of marketing departments running wild.
Yep.
Even in major manufacturers, we've seen it. And then it goes into hyper mode and these certain curious seasonal affected disorder and, all these claims. How did this start and why did it start and what's the purpose of it?
Yeah. So the marketing claims verification program is something that is, I'll say, relatively new. We rolled it out a few years ago, and it's starting to gain some really tremendous momentum throughout the industry and with our customer base. And really, what the premise of the program is really all about, it's to help companies demonstrate that their marketing and advertising claims are accurate, truthful, and credible. Right. And through the use of independent third party objective verification. And so, having a brand like UL, being able to put that on your packaging with a specific claim to show that you've taken the necessary steps to gain independent third party verification of that claim. It really helps to instill that trust, right? Build trust and build confidence from a consumer perspective. It was interesting. I was recently reading back in 2019 in the Edelman Trust Barometer. They did a survey of over 16,000 consumers globally, and they found that 81% of them actually were surveyed, and they said that trust is one of the most important parts of their purchase decision. Yet only 34% of those 81% said that only 34% trust the brands that they buy most of the time. So, there is a lot of, to your point, right? There's a lot of claims out there, and as a consumer, it can be very overwhelming, right? Any product packaging, you're seeing performance claims and all of these different things, and how do you know what to believe? And so, from our perspective, this is just a great tool that we created, to really leverage the independent third-party verification and again, to help consumers really build that trust and understand that, hey, when I purchase this product and it says that it does X, that it's been tested and verified that it does X. And so it's been a great program for us. Like I said, I think just in the last couple of years, we've seen some tremendous growth and interest around this as I think more and more people are so consumed with ensuring that they want to elevate their product quality and their product performance, to make sure that they're building a loyal customer base. I think that, that's really what it's about. And this is just a great tool that they can use to help leverage those efforts. So,
I think a lot of corporations have sabotaged that trust and on their own, simply by having their own awards, Like we gave ourselves an award. We launched another awards company and it awarded us an award for product quality. And there's a lot of stuff like that, and people become skeptical. A lot of people say that you often hear claims that people are stupid or people don't change very quickly. Well, I don't believe that. I think people just ignore a lot. And they don't listen because there's too much noise. But I think if you could cut through the noise with something like this, it would be extremely effective, especially with the brand recognition, the worldwide brand recognition of a UL, Greg. I'm going to swing it over to you. I mean, it's something that would cut through. There's a lot of other certification agencies that don't have that. You're talking about brand power, brand trust. I think UL does bring with it some serious goodwill to the table, Greg, when we're talking in
Hmm.
this way?
Now I get, the claims thing. I got to get an understanding of because I get when you have safety and that's on there. But what are
Sure.
examples of marketing claims that you're actually verifying right now?
Yeah, so you'll see on our site a couple of claims around, flicker, for example, right? Flicker less than a certain percentage, and really what the any that's the beauty of this program, right? Is that it can actually address any product performance claim as long as we can back it with scientifically sound and rigorous, repeatable test methodology that gives us data to support that specific claim. You can make a claim, Mike mentioned, whether it's color temperature, right? Or, cool light, warm light, whether it's, flicker, the amount of flicker, whether it's the amount of blue light. If you go to our directory, we have a directory at our verify.ul.com page. You will see a searchable directory there. And you can search by product, you can search by company, and see all of the different types of claims that are there. And it virtually can be any product performance characteristic, which is really kind of the beauty of it is, where on the product safety side, right, we start with an industry standard and we work with the manufacturers to ensure that their product will comply with that industry standard. On the marketing claims verification side, it works a little differently, right? We start with what is the claim that the manufacturer wishes to make about that specific product, right? And I mentioned building trust and confidence, but I think another really big benefit is how to differentiate your product, right? What is it about your product that it does something differently than your competition, right? And if you can validate and verify that through an independent third party such as UL and put a label on your packaging and product that states that, that can be a really powerful tool. So that to me are some of the really high level benefits of the program, and we've gotten some tremendous feedback from both customers and manufacturers that want to differentiate their product, and from those that are purchasing and utilizing that product and using the product. So it's something that is gaining a lot of traction in the market.
So if somebody says or claims on their package that it's flicker free, will you go in there and say you can't use the word free, but you can use less than this percentage?
Yeah, so what we don't do today, right? We don't go out and, we will work with manufacturers to create a claim verification. We are not out policing all of the products that are out in the marketplace today and coming back to them about, their specific claims that they're making, right? So, we partner with the manufacturers on the front end and really work with them to understand how do they want to differentiate their products and so forth. We don't do a lot of what I'll call product surveillance once the products are in the field. For customers that haven't worked with us, right? We're not out policing, all of those claims out there today. So just with those companies that we work with for the marketing claims verification program.
So sorry, I go back to this because I see it on packages, but the word free is a broad term. To me, if you're going to certify it, it means
Mm-hmm.
zero. Are you guys
Yep.
going in and have you had anybody come in and say, we want to put flicker free on, and you go back and say, you can't, you have to do this?
Yeah, look, what it boils down to is, can the data support that it is 100% flicker free? And I think if you talk to most people in the industry, right, they'll tell you that it is, nearly impossible, if not impossible, to have 100% flicker free. You will see the claims that we have it's less than 2%, less than 3%. As long as it's measured and we have data to support that claim, that specific claim that they want to make, then we can go ahead and apply that marketing claims verification mark. But it has to be backed up by data. So that's the real key.
And I'll leave this topic after this, but what about more generalized terms like low flicker? What is low? Do you guys say
Yeah.
you can't write low?
Yeah, so we don't say you can't write it. What we say is if you're going to use our UL marketing claims verification, we need to define that, right? We need to define what does low mean. Is that less than 2%? Is it less than 5%? Is it less than 10%? What is it that, it has to be, it always has to correlate back to the data that we can produce, through our testing and that we perform. So that's what it really, as long as the claim can be tied directly to the data. But to your point, to just say low or free or good, better, best, no, those we can't say because it isn't directly attributable to test data that would support that, right? You have to define it very clearly.
Okay. And I'm kind of hot on this right now, but what if a package has more than one claim? And do you say the whole, we're going to warranty or we're going to certify this claim on this part of the package, or we're going to warranty, or sorry, not warranty, certify all of these claims?
Yeah, so the way the program works, so it's maybe it might be helpful for me. There's a couple of interesting, I'll say it's basically a 5-step process, if you will, to get through, to gain the UL verification for marketing claims. Step one is we partner with the customer to really understand, right, what is the claim that they're most interested in making, and they can have multiple claims, right? There could be multiple claims that they want to make. We could put as many marks on there or on their packaging as they would like to have. There's no minimum or maximum to that, but we will sit with the customer. We will try to understand what is it that they would like to claim. We will then, step two is to really go ahead and develop the protocol, right? What is the test method or program that we will use? How will we validate and verify that test or that claim with the test data that we can gather? And then that actual testing is conducted as part of step three, right? And once we show that the claim has been validated and verified, we can then go ahead and authorize the use of the label, and then they can go out and put that on their product packaging and their product on the product itself if they so choose. And then the last component is an important one, because the way that we offer the program today, it can be time-based or time-bound rather. So most of the time we have once you gain the NCV label, you can utilize that for the next 12 months. And if you choose to continue to use that beyond that, we do have a surveillance program where once a year we will go in, we will actually get product, we will test it, retest it to make sure that product is still meeting those initial conditions, and that the claim is still true on the products being produced. So there is that surveillance aspect for manufacturers that wish to keep the claim valid for longer than a 12-month period.
Since Greg took over the show, I've got about 5 or 6 things I want to ask you now. I don't know where to start. No,
sure.
So the first one is, for me, what are the major claims at issue in the lighting industry? So you got your flicker. What else do we have that people are talking about?
Yeah, so I think a couple of the key areas really that we've seen, obviously flicker has been a big one. Blue light has been another one, and we've had some, I'll say, some interest around using marketing claims verification as we get into obviously human-centric lighting, circadian. You see a lot of claims now about circadian-friendly products and human-centric products and those types of things. And the challenge with that is that, we are actively working to, I'll say, build some more robust performance testing services in those areas. But the lack of standards in HCL and circadian and the industry, it's still very much in its infancy in terms of standards development and specification and test method development. But those are areas that are very much, I'll say, a topic of interest and things that people are coming to us with. We have had to say no. Sometimes there are claims that may not be able to be validated in a test lab, right? Maybe it's,
I'm just going to jump in and interrupt you here for a second
Sure.
here, Todd, because
Sure.
this is where I think the rubber meets the road on this. So you talked about flicker and blue light. I took which was interesting. I wish I had taken this course when I was very young, but it was a philosophy of math. And so instead of teaching you anything about math, it just taught you what each type of math was meant to address. And I remember the negative numbers section. So fascinating. Negative numbers are designed to denote an absence of something, right? So when you're talking about flicker and blue light, you can verify that there's no flicker. You can verify that there's no blue light. That's a negative. It's absent. It's not there, right? So, okay, go ahead and sell it, and then we'll test it in a year. Maybe the binning dots on the LED chips change, and there's a little bit of blue light down there, and we come and verify that later. There's a major problem with verifying positive changes to people's health. That is a huge mountain to climb. And it involves commissioning in the field. It involves very low levels of increase in productivity. 1% or 0.5% would be a monster improvement. Like if you had 10,000 people and you improved their mental health by 0.5%, that would mean that some people had a 20% increase. Other people had no increase. You would have all these, and it would significantly help people. Even a minor little minuscule amount would be a monster improvement. But that's on the positive side of the ledger. You're not talking that there's no flicker here, so we're not going to cause any damage to you with this product, right? So you're talking about absences of negative impacts from the light, right? Now you're trying to switch to, here is a positive impact that we know will occur. I would suspect that is far more complicated than verifying a subtraction of a negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what you bring up is obviously a very valid point, and I think that look, what we at UL and any other independent lab, right? What we can validate and verify is through test and scientific rigor and measurement. What is it that we can physically test and measure, right? And support it with data. What we don't have, and we see it all the time in the lighting industry today, right, is those claims that, better sleep, better productivity, whatever that might be, right? And, today, how do you measure that, right? There are no test specifications today. Maybe we'll get there someday, but they don't exist. So, we have to concentrate our efforts on, things that can be validated and measured and tested. And so, where we can really point to the data to support a specific claim, right? So, better sleep, right? I suppose if you commissioned a study and, other organizations I know do that, right? Maybe there's some far-reaching claims and other things that maybe there are other ways to validate, but in the test inspection certification world, it really all comes back to what is it that you can actually tangibly measure and test, and that's the real key for this program.
That's a huge challenge for the word. Even the word safety has a new connotation in 2021 than it had 2 years ago. I mean, safety in the UL says this is not going to start on fire if you plug it in. Like that was kind of what you guys did, right? So that's again, we're subtracting the fire risk from this product, right? Because it has these different things assembled in this way equals it's not going to start on fire. If you toast your bread and burn it, it's not going to start a fire. But with the positive, with trying to create an environment where there's a positive outcome that's measurable, without at the same time not looking for any other unintended problems that you may create by in the race for the positive effect. So we had a fellow come on the show and say, what you really need is vertical luminaires at 2,000 lux. Okay, that's like 3 times of a paint booth. And if you've ever been in a paint booth, there's a lot of pressure from that light. Like you feel that brightness. It's not comfortable. So when I don't feel comfortable, it's probably not good for me. So like people get, but the sun is 4,000 Lux in the shade with your cap on or whatever. It's like, well, I mean, is there a way to predict that, somehow there may be an unintended negative consequence of this intervention when we're looking for this one positive thing that we want to get? Could it also bear with it a whole bunch of negative things that we're not actually looking for in the data, and thus we don't find it?
Yeah.
I think the positive side of the ledger is way more complex and bent with all manner of trouble and possible problems than the negative side of the ledger is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that it's fair. It's like you said, it's a challenge, right? I mean, and that's where, today, I mean, maybe in the future, right, there will be, through the use of AI and predictive modeling and simulation and all these other techniques, right? Maybe in the future there'll be a way that we can get there. Today it's, for us, it still comes back to the tangible, science and method of measurement that we can conduct in our labs in a controlled setting, and relying on good calibrated test equipment and that's producing good data, and it just that's what it comes back to for us. So
I love that. It's interesting. I think AI is like a code word for you're about to get tricked, sucker. Ain't that right, Gray? AI. The computer told us that it's got to be like that. It's not us. It's, we're switching from experts. The experts told me to do it to now the computer told me to do it. And the computer has no liability. So nobody's responsible. What's up, Greg? What do you got?
So are there any human-centric or health claims that you have verified currently?
Yeah, we have, as of yet, no. There are, I'll say, active conversations in that area currently, and we'll see where those go. But I will say it's challenging for the reasons we just discussed, right? Without I'll say approved test methods or ways that we can validate and verify, making sure that we have a claim that is can be verified, right, through test and measurement. That's that kind of, I'll say, it pares down the playing field of claims, right? And so that's an area that we'll see where that goes, but as it stands today, we do not have that yet.
I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there, but what could possibly be a claim? Like human-centric friendly, whatever that means, but you're going to improve your work 10%? Like what could possibly be a claim out of this? I don't see it that you can measure.
Yeah, I think that it's those are claims that I think that maybe some people would like to make, right? Use our product, right? And
hey, I would love to be able to say that to customers. Are you kidding me?
I would too.
If I could say that to customers, I'd be swinging through the trees with a knife in my teeth. I'm telling you.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. So I mean, for us, it just comes back to we can characterize how a product performs, right? And then from that data, then it's really up to what I would say, it's up to, industry and those to decide, okay, based on data, right? How do we take those learnings and can that actually someday maybe mean something, that if your product does this, right, it will equate to this outcome. But I don't think we're there yet, right? And so that's where, again, we always try to bring people back, from those, like you said, they'd love to make these claims, but immediately we come back to saying, look, unless I'm able to test that and validate that through test and measurement in my lab, right? I just can't give you supporting data that would allow you to go out and make such a claim. So that's where we keep bringing it back to. So it's challenging for sure, and we're having discussions with I'll say different entities and different customers. It's definitely a high area of interest, but so far we're seeing that it is challenging.
And until marketing claims are get to the point where they have to be monitored or enforced, how are you ever going to get the person buying the product to care that claim is certified? That's what like. That's a bigger picture of all this.
Can I answer that question? Can I answer that question for you?
Do
for
it.
you, Todd? See, I think
Sure.
that just one of the points I wrote down was that, you know, having a UL certified marketing claim is actually very powerful for people in the position of Greg, Ehrich, and I. It's extremely powerful because it actually takes the responsibility away from us. And I don't like that. It's not like I want that, but at the end of the day, with health effects or flicker free is a great one. So you say, hey, this one is flicker free. UL's verified it's less than this percentage of flicker, and that's considered flicker free, or that's considered low, whatever it is, or unnoticeable flicker, or T8 electronic ballast level flicker, like it was before. Whatever you want, right? So we can confidently state that to customers. If we had something with a UL verifier, like I said before, swinging through the trees with a knife in your teeth, you give that tool to a Greg Ehrich, he'll sell $5 million worth of that stuff a year, no problem. Lickety split. You know what I'm saying? If you can actually do a proposal, which it has the productivity benefit, how much you pay your people? Yeah? How many sick days you had last year? Oh, yeah? You know what I'm saying? If you could actually sit down and have like a UL name to say, yeah, and the verification is done by the underwriters of the laboratory. Oh, really? Yeah, it's not even us. We're just the messengers. We're just the messengers, brother. You know?
That's the key, right? Is that today, right? You see so many claims out there today that these manufacturers are made, right? And of course, what are they? There's a lot of products out there, not just in lighting, but any product category where you see these claims. And look, how many times as a consumer have we all purchased products, thinking and reading a claim that how this product was going to perform, and you get it home only to find out that guess what? It didn't perform that way.
No.
So, I think that's something where, the value of having an independent third party like UL, right, that can come in, validate, and that's where, for the manufacturer, that's a tremendous benefit. Just like you said, right? It's not me saying that my product will do this. We had it independently verified and tested through UL, and they validated that this claim is true, right? It is accurate. Our product does this. And so, that can carry a lot of weight, especially, in an ocean of products out there with many of the same claims and claiming different things, right? It is a great opportunity for people to set their product apart, right? And differentiate it from all the others maybe that they're out there competing with.
Have you ever verified a lifetime claim in the LED lighting business?
So it certainly could be verifiable. That's something that could easily be measured. To my knowledge, I don't believe we have. I'm not sure that we have a lifetime claim out there. Certainly in LED, just because you can't accelerate typically LED tests. So it's
and who wants to raise that black curtain anyway, right?
So right. So no, we haven't done it, but it could be done if people had the patience and the time.
You know why? The question comes down, but the technology would change so fast from the time you started testing that by the time you finish the testing, you'd be looking at something new anyway.
Exactly.
I think, Greg, just to wrap it up, I was going to say this to after, but I think it's just good to have it out there in the show. I think we should do an LS Evolve module on like navigating the certification landscape. And you just have a module that just these are the different agencies. This is what they do. This is their specialties. This is what you want to look for on a light bulb. This is what you want to look for on a light fixture. This is what you want to look for here. I think that would be super valuable for distributors.
I agree.
We would be very, I will tell you, I'll raise my hand and say that we would be very pleased to do a webinar or, help in that manner to just, to shed some light and educate on, what product certification is, really how it's, how does it happen, all of the steps, and, walk people through it so that they really understand, more about certification, what the marks mean, and, that could be a really valuable.
How to verify them on the
learning.
Websites, how to verify them.
Absolutely.
Because I've actually done that a couple times when I was suspicious of something. I've gone to the UL. You can actually put the UL number, and it comes up who's the manufacturer and
exactly.
What was certified for. Because sometimes CUL is faked in Canada. So
Okay.
the Chinese manufacturer will have UL, and then they'll, I can't sell them into Canada because they're not CUL because the standards are different,
Yep.
and they don't have the label. They'll just put the C on there, and
Yep.
you can find that out if it's actually legitimate or not. So yeah, it's been helpful.
Yeah,
Todd,
and
do you have
it's
any?
even the same thing. Same
Go
thing
ahead.
with this. I was just going to say, same thing with the marketing claim verification. There's actually a unique identifier on the label. The
Mm.
same thing that you can type in that unique identifier into our searchable database, and it will show you that claim, what the claim is, who made the claim, and how the product was tested. And it actually even goes in and gives a little bit of. We allow the manufacturer to give us a little bit of background about the product and its characteristics on the website. So it's actually a pretty helpful database.
I have one more question for you, actually. Enforcement.
Sure.
What does enforcement look like to for people domiciled in a country with the rule of law, and let's say countries that may not have the rule of law as intact as perhaps we do? What's the difference? So how do you handle those things on the enforcement
So
side?
specific. So enforcement of the marketing claim verification, or just in general
In general,
safety,
like
or
UL marks of
in
any
general.
kind, if they've been
Yeah.
faked, what
So
happens?
Yeah, so we will actually work again. We have very strong relationships with law enforcement all around the world and Interpol. But
Mm-hmm.
what we also do is we take very aggressive action. What we do once a product is certified, that's then begins the actual process of surveillance. And so surveillance can consist of it consists of factory inspections on an ongoing basis. Typically, very 4 times a year, right? Once a quarter, we will send an inspector into that factory to make sure the product is being manufactured appropriately to the standard, the way that we certified it. No components have changed, et cetera, et cetera. And so, there is a surveillance aspect to the certification that is ongoing. And if we identify, if it is brought to our attention through customs or other means, that there's a product that they can't find in our directory that's bearing a UL mark, our brand protection team immediately gets involved and engaged, and they'll work with local law enforcement to track that down and put an end to that situation, and hopefully catch the perpetrators in the process, and try to limit those things from happening. So it's been a great program for UL.
Greg, looks like the good guys win in the end, I guess, here, eh? So, Todd, thank you for being a guest on the show. Very informative, fascinating stuff. I'm going to take you
Great.
up on that offer for navigating the certification landscape. I think we're going to call it that, the
Great.
program.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, but we got to get crazy before we go.
Finish off crazy, TCP, every LED light bulb you can imagine. And you know what else? Just to tie it into today, they're UL listed. They go through all the right certifications to make sure they do the right thing.
Go to tcpi.com. That's right. The craziest folks in lighting. I go there every day. So I'm on TCPI, buying from them all the time. Great company. Love Ellis. Love the team down there at TCP. And of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. TCP is a longtime member of that association. Hey, man, you just heard we're creating education. LS Evolve is constantly being updated with all kinds of great stuff like this. Who would have thought that distributors should know? All distributor employees on the sales desk, on the order desk, and dealing with the products should have an understanding of how those certifications work so they can assure their customers that they're getting products that are safe. And so we thank Todd Straka and all you folks that have made it to the end here. Yeah, you like that hat, don't you? Yeah, you sure do if you're watching in video. That's right. We thank you guys for listening. We always love you guys to the end, and the girls out there. Lots of ladies listen to this as well. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.